Evening to everyone present here tonight. My name is Yu Yu, and I will be your host for tonight. On behalf of the JPO family, we'd like to extend a warm welcome to everyone tuning in for tonight's broadcast. We hope that everyone is doing well and staying safe indoors. A friendly reminder to maintain good hygiene at all times and maintain social distancing when heading out. To anyone who's interested in sharing tonight's broadcast, a live feed is being shared on the JPO YouTube channel. Do like and subscribe to the channel so you can receive live notifications. If you have any questions you'd like to ask, please feel free to type them out in the Q&A section down below in Zoom, and the chat box in YouTube. A recording of the webinar will also be uploaded onto the channel later on. Siong Quen has spent 11 years in the UK, first taking a spot at the Chatham School of Music, UK, with a scholarship to study violin with Iocles and Wenzhou Li, before finishing her Bachelor of Music at the Royal Northern College of Music with Alexander Sitkovetsky. So tonight's interview features Leong Siong Quen with her topic about performance anxiety. As our JBO family attendees are mostly students ranging from primary school to college, their parents and their teachers, the sharing of knowledge and advice you have for all of us is invaluable and greatly appreciated. The JBO is very honored to have Siong Quen joining in as our guest for tonight. I hope that you will all join me in giving her a warm welcome. Welcome, Siong Quen.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. All right, so without further ado, thank you so much for joining us today. And to start off today's interview, what can you tell us about the video we had just watched just now?
Thanks for having me, by the way. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you, but
No
thanks
problem.
for having me. Actually, the earlier two recordings are from my performances. Actually, quite recently. The one with the orchestra was with the National Symphony Orchestra in Istana Budaya for their Lambang Sari series. So it was just last April, actually. So kind of in the middle of the pandemic. And then the one before that was my final the final round for the Eurasia Strings competition in 2016. So that was luckily my winning round. but yeah, these two rounds.
Yeah, not too long ago, 2016, and the second video, April. How was it? How was the audiences and the environment? Because it was like after the lockdown, and then I think that and then after that we all went into lockdown again. So how was it like to come back and like to go back into the lockdown again?
Actually, for that brief moment, it was amazing. Like, I was really happy to be there, and also surprisingly, it was basically full house. And I was so excited. I was so shocked, and I was like, "Oh my god, everyone's here!" And it was really unexpected because it was a weekday lunchtime as well. So I was really happy to see so many people, and everyone enjoyed it too, actually. And it was such a nice relief because like before then we had a huge lockdown as well. Like we'd basically been in lockdown for like a year before that. So it was really hard getting back into it. And then it was like a brief moment of respite, and then we had another lockdown. So I'm just, having that memory and just trying to keep that going, keep me going until the next time things get a bit, better.
Yes, it should. Yeah. How was like the people? Like, were everyone like very like? I'm not sure. Can you see from stage? Like, can you see like how was the feeling about like the audience and like going back into with the big orchestra and everything? Was it like how was it?
In terms of the audience, honestly, I don't really remember like, seeing the audience much because I'm kind of very, very short-sighted. So I can't and I perform without my glasses, so I can't actually see the audience at all.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, it's actually, and I can't wear contacts. I don't really know how to put contacts in. So like, I actually can't see the audience when I'm playing. But I think but I got to know the orchestra. Like in terms of playing with the orchestra, it was really nice because of course everyone was socially distanced because of the pandemic. So everyone's wearing masks. You see in the video everyone's wearing masks and everyone's like one desk to a person. So that was nice. But it was really nice, especially to play with people that I know, and I just miss playing with people. It's just such a different thing when you're practicing alone, and when you're playing with other people. It's so, I mean, music is meant to be played with other people. So
Yes, yes, yes. So how was like yeah, I can see that when you're mentioning like one person, one death. So all the precautions and the rules are being followed like very, very good, very well and strictly. Yes, no, yeah, it's so good. Yeah, so like because our topic and your topic today is about performance anxiety. So can you tell us like is performance anxiety still a concern for you, or is there like a certain stage in your performance career that makes you feel any performance anxiety?
actually, I think this is well, you see, I wanted to talk about performance anxiety actually today because I've been talking to my students quite a bit, and I kind of get this impression from them that they think that at a certain age or at a certain stage in their performance career, they just won't stop. They just, won't feel any more nervousness. Like, there's no anxiety anymore when they play. Like everything is perfect and everything is fine. But the thing is, the truth is like it never goes away. And I especially, I suffer from it quite badly actually. It's quite a big thing for me. And I think it's, even though it's a big thing, it's not necessarily a bad thing because it's, how do I say this? Performance anxiety is, it's not, you can harness it to bring out the best in you sometimes. Because when you're running on that adrenaline high, it's, you kind of find like new things about yourself. It brings out the best in you. And I think that's what makes a performance such a, like a different thing to a recording. Because when you're recording, you're kind of like, you're trying to best your previous selves all the time. But in a performance, yes, you're trying to play your best, but at the same time, anything unexpected can happen. And sometimes unexpected is what makes life interesting. So
Yes, yes, yes. Like recordings, you can keep repeating, like, and to record, but performances on stage is just one go. Yeah.
yes, yeah. And I think it's important, like you have to find a balance. It's, of course, it's not good for you to be like breaking down before you play, but it's also not good for you to be completely chill. Because I think I actually had a performance once where it was in the UK, and luckily it was just for a small group of friends. It was just like, playing to your friends kind of thing. But I overperformed right before that. Like I'd done like 7 concerts on the same program all the way, and I was so tired. And when I started that performance, I'm not gonna lie, it was probably the most boring thing I've ever played. And it was so boring. My friend was just watching me, and she was like, I've never felt someone like sound as if they're about to fall asleep. And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of how I felt actually. So I think some anxiety and some no, if it's handled correctly, a bit of that, adrenaline is gonna be really, it helps you become a good performer.
Yeah, since you've said like you've had performed like 7 performance like straight or like having a lot of performances, like, and how do you deal with it? Like, how do you like, because I'm sure that it's gonna be very tiring and very stressful, or if anything happens, like how do you make sure that you're in shape to like continue?
Okay, that's a lot of different things which I'm actually going to talk about today later. But I think there are a few things you can do to manage this anxiety. And I mean, most of what I'm going to say today is probably more from my own perspective. It's not, I can't speak for other people. So this is just how I handle it. And I just hope that, maybe some of my tips can help someone else who's hearing it. And I just know a lot. The best thing to know is that you need to be able to understand yourself the most, because other, like, different people handle things differently. Everyone has their own threshold, so you need to know where your threshold is, and you need to know like what's best for you, which may not be best for someone else. But sorry, am I lagging?
Yeah, it's okay for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. But yeah, I think it's really important for things like this, where you need to know about like understanding yourself and what you are capable of, and bringing out the best in you.
Yes, nice. So, like, talking about anxiety, uh, what are your thoughts on the use of medical aids to help control performance anxiety? Yeah, because now we are in an advanced world and there are many medical medicines that have been developed and everything. Like, do you have like, yeah, what is your thoughts about it?
Personally, I'm fortunate enough to not have to use some, but I know some very close friends and some excellent musicians who use beta blockers. And I think personally, I kind of prefer to stay on the side of caution in terms of like medical aid. And I think you should always make sure you have gotten professional consultation from a doctor before using this, because it's you must understand what you're putting your body through when when you're using all this stuff. For example, beta blockers, actually it may not be suitable for everyone, because it's actually used to treat abnormal heart rhythms. So it kind of blocks a bit. From my understanding, I'm not a doctor, so from my understanding, it blocks some of the adrenaline, so you don't feel it so much. But like I said, from my previous experience, I know myself as a performer, I don't deal so well with inhibiting myself in terms of how I like that reaching that peak. Because if I don't feel the adrenaline, I can't push myself to that peak. So yeah, so I personally think I don't have anything against it, but I think you should research on it before
Hmm.
you should err on the side of caution. So
Yes, I would say that it's more maybe these kind of situation and taking medical aids will be more from maybe the Western countries or the UK side when you were, yes, studying and everything. So I think I'm not sure about Malaysia, but hopefully everyone knows and they consult a doctor before they start using anything. Yeah, it's a very good point that you've shared.
because I'm just worried, like I maybe I'm just being like extra cautious, and but I mean, I'm not a doctor, like I said, like I can't say for sure what the long-term effects would be, but I think that you should always get advice when it comes to these kind of things. Get professional advice, not advice from people like me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and like I've heard that people saying that eating banana can also help. Is that true? Like in your point?
Actually, yeah, actually, I do that sometimes, but yeah, I have this thing where I can't eat certain foods before I play. I can't eat too heavy, for example, before I play. But bananas, in fact I give my students a banana every time before they play. Like there's like apparently, I'm not too sure. I haven't actually felt uh, the effects of the banana, but I think there's like a golden period, 30 minutes before you play, that you have to eat it, and that's like the most effective time. I'm not sure, but I've heard about this banana thing as well, and it's worth trying out. I mean, even though maybe it works better for you, like for me, I still eat it, but I don't know whether it has um perhaps as strong an effect on me as maybe some other people.
Yes, yes. Like even sorry, I forgot the word. Yeah, even people like playing sports and everything in competitions. Yeah, they. I think I've seen some like during the Olympics. I still see people eating bananas, like some of the famous people. I'm yeah. So I think yeah, it might have some effects on it.
Mm. No, I think it probably does, because it has like a high sugar content and everything. So
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I take it like just to have that high sugar content. But I think to be honest, I'm the kind of person who can't really tell when I'm eating food, so I'm not the expert on food either. So I think maybe but have a banana 30 minutes before you play. It could really turn your world around, I'm not sure, but I think I mean it's a popular, it's not a popular thing. It's more like it's a lot of people stand by it. So
Yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I think this is somehow, yeah, banana maybe somehow in a way that might help, like they say might help calm the monkeys down, or else they will be like going crazy, or yeah, taking foods away or stealing things. But yeah, it's not just something I've thought of, and yeah, something just popped into my mind. Yeah. So our next question. Yeah. As a regular competitor and performer, are there any differences in handling performance anxiety in different settings?
I think with regards to competitions and recitals or concerts, the biggest difference is probably the presence of other people in the environment. And I think people need to understand that music is a subjective topic. It's very like it's not so cut and dry. So and often it's about it doesn't mean that you are a bad performer. I mean, when you look at like international competitions, you see the people who win the competitions, the people who get to the finals, even if they're not the top three or anything, they're often all very good. They're amazing, excellent musicians in their own right. The only difference is like maybe at that particular time, at that particular day, it's just unfortunate that something happened that they weren't able to perform their best, or maybe someone else just happened to find that that thing in them and managed to bring it out, or maybe maybe they worked really hard to get there, and sometimes it's just that. But I mean, it doesn't mean that you didn't work hard. It's just that maybe they just found it something special. So but it's also a subjective topic, so subjective thing. So it's it's the art is a subjective thing. Like it's about taste. It's about like your own personal taste, like how the judges hear it and everything. So it's quite different in that sense. And I think it's important to acknowledge that differences, because when you go to a competition, and then it's the same thing when you do a performance as well, like a concert or a recital. When you walk off that stage, you don't think like, oh, like that person played better than me. Like it's more often than not, most musicians would think like, did I perform my best? Like I wish I did ABC better than I did. Like that's what you go through, rather than like you think about how you played. And I've had plenty of experiences where like maybe I did not play the best in the compared to like all my colleagues and everything, but I think that I did my best at that time. Like I felt that I brought out what I could, and sometimes that's, and I felt more satisfied doing that than if I were to play, if I were to win something and I felt I didn't do my best. I think that would be less satisfying. So I think you need to understand, like, sorry, not you personally, but I mean people need, when we are as players, as performers, or as competitors, we need to understand that what we are looking for is to bring out the best of what we are. So I think that things like how we approach performance anxiety needs to reflect that as well. And personally, I kind of divide handling performance anxiety into like 3 stages. So working backwards, it's like how you handle it on stage, how you handle it right before you go on stage, or like in a warm up, which can be like 2 hours to like the second right before you walk on, or and also in and that's the wrong word. And then the third stage will be like, or the first stage, like the everything that goes on, maybe the week before, 2 weeks before, when you started learning that piece, or even up to like several years before that, when when you're learning how to play the violin, because like this kind of things, it stays with you. It builds your character up. It builds how you handle all this kind of anxiety. So starting chronologically now. So in the practice room, where we first start learning and everything, I think, of course, how teachers always say you have to keep practicing until things get better. I think that's a lot about not fixing, but learning muscle memory or motor memory. So like in case in an unexpected event, that you have blank, you just blank out completely when you're playing. You can rely on that as a backup. Of course, it's not the most reliable thing. You ideally don't want to blank out, but if you do, at least you have that as a backup. So that these are one of the reasons why. And you need to also, when you practice, you must also practice not just learn the notes and everything. It's like when you do like a shift, for example, if you're doing a fingering, you should do like the same fingering all the time. Or if you do like certain shifts, certain bowings, you must understand like when you're stressed, these kind of things can really throw you off. And like when you're really stressed and you're anxious, like as soon as you do a wrong bowing, you just think, oh my god, my bowing, how am I going to fix this? So you need to understand, like you need to know how what your muscle memory is for those kind of things, and also how to, if things were to go south suddenly, like oh, I did wrong bowing, like how am I going to change it, and change it quickly and move on. So those kind of things you need to practice in your practice room as well. And then there's a matter of visualization, which is really important. I think visualizing is something we don't do enough of. And it's like when you're in the practice room, you need to really practice pretending that you are in a concert hall on the stage. And that it helps that you do lots of run-throughs with your, like, any close friends. Just grab a few friends and just be like, I'm going to play to you and you're here to suffer with me. But it's you need to do this kind of things because it shows you very well how your reflexes are. And like the things I said earlier, but like when things go south, this helps you be aware, like, okay, this might go south. How am I going to handle it? And were you able to handle it well? And how am I going to handle it if it did not work out previously? So, and this kind of things is really important. So visualizing in a practice room, I know a lot of teachers say this, like, but some students may not do this so much in practice rooms. I know because I used to be one. Like I had a friend, in order to make herself feel more tense, more anxious in her performance, I caught her once, like she was in a practice room, like the whole practice room was dark, and she had taken off her socks and she was standing on a table and she was just playing like that, and she had just closed her eyes and she was just playing, like, because the table is a bit like unstable. Yeah, so she's like, she can feel like there's something unusual, like she's in an unusual predicament. So like that, like she did that to like make herself feel a bit more pressure. So like be imaginative with your visualizing it, and use all kinds of aids that you can, like when you're like, everything is there to help you. So yeah, and then moving on, sorry, and I've been talking so much about what you do in a practice room and what you do in the warm-up room, or in like the hours leading up to your performance. That is a whole different thing. It's like there's so many things you can do. Like, what can you do? Because you need to be in a state of mind where you're calm, but you're relaxed and you're focused. And it's like it sounds a bit like there's so many things to think about, but it's all those things. Like there are several things that you can do to get your head into that mindset, and this is kind of where especially most people experience the most amount of performance anxiety, actually, because you're waiting there, you're just waiting, and you're like, oh my god, is it time? Is it like, is anyone going to call me? What's going to happen? How many people are watching me? Like, there's so many questions in your head, and you're just like not thinking about how am I going to play. You're just thinking, oh my god. So I think in the warm-up room, it's important to establish certain things like habits. And I think it's not just musicians who do this. Excuse me. It's not just musicians who do this. It's also athletes and stage performers, and there's a whole bunch of people who do this. But we often have a certain cue that we use to soothe ourselves and to something comforting to ourselves. Like, for example, like I know there are some theater actors who, like, they have to run their hand down the banister every time before they go on stage, because that helps them like get into the mindset. And it's for me personally, like I have also some like taboo things that I can't do. Like I have very dry hands, like my hands dry up very, very easily, and I can't move when that's the case. So I avoid hand dryers.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
I avoid that at all costs. I always have like lotion on me, hand lotion on me, and I also have like cloths like paper towels on me and anything to dry my hands. And I don't wash my hands with cold water. This kind of things. You need to know what your habits are, because those things will give you some sense of comfort as well before you go on. And it's I know people are like, oh, but you shouldn't depend on this, but it's that if it makes you, if it helps you, I don't see why. I mean, yes, it shouldn't rule your life, but finding that balance and making use of it, I think it's fine.
Yes.
Yeah. And then there's also things like personally for me, I really like doing two things in my warm up room before. Like, this is not like when I have to stay quiet. It's like when I can be as noisy as I can be. I like to play really slow scales, like the slowest possible, really long bows, as loud as possible, right on the bridge as much as possible. Because that really, you don't want to feel small before you go on stage. You want to feel like you want to have this kind of like sense of being big, and like this kind of like broad sounds, and just working on like projecting as far as you can. That kind of brings out the courage in you. You're kind of like tricking yourself a bit into believing that you are confident, believing in your sound. And then the other thing which I like to do, and I think a lot of my students, I like to do with a lot of my students as well, is you, especially when you're in a quiet place, or you're in a zone where like you're feeling scared and you're nervous, you're too nervous to even like make a sound. Make the ugliest sound you can possibly make, like the ugliest sound. Like I do this. I had this habit, and I used to do it in practice, in like warm up rooms with other people, and everyone would be like staring at me like, "What is she doing?" And I just like sit there and like I crunch the sound as loud as I can, like the ugliest possible sound. Because the idea is, if you can, like for me, like how I overcome it, and I think it's worked for a few of my students as well, is once they get over that hurdle of making an ugly sound, it's like, well, everything after this, it's going to be better than this. And I lived through that sound and can live through it, another ugly sound, I'm sure. Like anything, even if I make a mistake, it's not going to be that as ugly as that. So, it's yeah, I really enjoy, I kind of almost enjoy this crunch notes, because it's like kind of satisfying. You're like, yeah, and like just digging those sounds out. And I think it's I think it helps me like overcome, because I'm the kind of person, like I said, I suffer from like performance anxiety quite a bit. So I need something to just like push me over the edge, and I find this kind of helps me like throw me into the deep end. So I feel like, okay, it's out of the way. I've gotten the ugly notes out of the way. Like now, let's just focus, and not like, if it happens later on, it's nowhere near as bad as that. So I'm okay. So yeah. So that's another thing that I do personally to help with my performance anxiety. And then there's ah and then there's some physical movements that you can do as well to like trick yourself. So yeah, like there's like a whole bunch of things. But I mean, I yeah, but that usually happens right before you go on stage, like when you can't really make a noise, because like usually before that you'll be like, oh my god, practice this part, practice this phrase. By the way, you should not practice. Be careful about over practicing as well before you go on stage, because you have only a certain amount of stamina when you're performing and when you're competing or anything, and that depletes really fast when you're stressed. So you need to pace yourself, and this is also why run-throughs, doing lots of run-throughs is very important, because you need to know how much your stamina is and how to build stamina, both mentally and physically.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and then I also have two things that I like to talk myself through, especially right the moments right before I go on stage. And I have this flow chart kind of thing in my head where I talk to myself and just tell myself, look, have I done all I can do before I go on stage? Have I done all the work? And if I have, why worry? Like, I've done all I could possibly do. And from now on, I just have to focus on what I've done and believe in the work I've done. But if there have been any circumstances where, where I can't do all I can do, like, sometimes life is unexpected. You can't tell when things go south suddenly, right? So when that happens, you just kind of have to move on from there and just say, have I done all I can do? And if the answer is no, too bad. But now now it's time for you to just focus and move on from that and do the best that you can perform with what you have already. So I think it's also accepting that and just like, never mind, let's focus and do it, still do the best that we can do, the best of our limits.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And then the other thing that I like to talk to myself about, sorry, that before I go on stage, which I think has helped quite a few people. I think I talked to this girl in a competition as well, and then she was like, we were both warming up in the same room, and she was like talking about her nerves, and I actually asked, I talked to her about this, and she said it helped her, and she came back. I mean, I hope it worked, because she came back, she looked really pleased with herself, and she was like really happy, and I was like happy for her too. So I hope it helps someone else. But it's another visualizing exercise, and basically you sit calmly before you go on stage, and you mentally go through everything that you're about to play, even all the mistakes that you usually make. You make all those mistakes in your head, like where you usually make them and how you usually make them. So like, do you usually shift too high? Imagine yourself shifting too high, and if you've done the run-throughs before, you know how it feels to have that regret in your head, that you're stuck there, right? And then when you come off stage after a performance like that, you think, man, I wish I could have done that better, right? So you visualize yourself doing all that and thinking all that, and then you get up, you tell yourself, okay, now I'm about to go on stage, and now it's the second time, it's my second chance to make those mistakes right. So I'm going to go on stage and fix them, and this is my second chance, and I'm going to, even if it's not fixed, it's okay, because I've tried my best. Like, this is but you're giving yourself that boost, so that you can just believe that, right, it's not about worrying so much, it's about believing in yourself, and like saying, like, no, actually, that wasn't the best I could do, this is the best I can do, and then you go on and then you play.
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
yeah. And then of course, then sorry, I've been like talking so much. If it's like, if I'm rambling a bit, please let me know if I need to slow down or anything.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so continue, and yeah.
Sorry, it's just that then I was talking about the practice room and the warm up room, and I just wanted to quickly mention also the concert hall.
Yeah.
What happens on the concert hall, and not everyone is blessed with abundance of confidence. Like, I'm not. I'm not, and I'm quite sure quite a few people aren't. I mean, if you are, good for you, but not everyone is. So it's okay to not be, but I think we need to put on a stage persona when you go on. So for example, you need to be able to pull off an impression that you are someone who is very confident, and this helps. Like, you need to also, like I said before, like, there's some body postures, there's some body signs, body signals that you can give off to indicate this. But you go on there, you smile, you look proud of yourself, proud of what you've done over the years to get you to where you are, and enjoy yourself, really enjoy yourself. Like, I think this is something that I can learn more of too, but like sometimes I get stuck in like this mentality that I'm like, oh my god, what am I? But it's really important that you enjoy the music, because it's not often that you get, especially like in this kind of climate, like no one's really performing. It's when you get to perform, enjoy it, take all the chances you can get, because you never know when you get into another lockdown. Please make the whenever you can get, the next time you get opportunity to perform, enjoy it as much as you can. And if mistakes happen, and sometimes you can't predict when they will happen, and if it happens, adapt and move on. And if it works, if you are able to overcome it, great. If you're not able to overcome it, it's okay, just move on, because people are there to watch you for your performance, not there to like scrutinize you. I mean, some people are, but you're not there to perform for them. So most people are there to enjoy your performance, because music is all about enjoying. No one wants to suffer when they listen to music, so everyone, exactly. So like just why should you suffer playing it? Because how can you let them enjoy it if you're suffering yourself? And like sometimes like really mystics, like some things, like you can do your best and still unexpected things can happen. Like I remember once I had a string break in the middle of a performance. Like it was like right at the end of my phrase, and my pianist didn't realize, so he continued with his whole thing, and I was just there like standing there like, oh, and I was only like 13 years old at the time, so I was like really unsure what to do with my broken E string, just standing there like, yeah, yeah, and then luckily my one of the teachers at the time, he was in the UK, actually, she ran up stage and she was like, excuse me, and then she like pulled me off stage, and then she changed my string. And if this happens to any other string players, I can tell you now, I didn't believe her when she said this, but it was so true. Like when she changed the string for me, she told me, she was like, when you go back on stage, you're going to feel really nervous. You're going to feel like, your string is going to break. That is something you need to accept, and you need to believe it's not you. It's normal to feel this, and you just have to overcome it. And I was like, oh, I'm feeling fine. Obviously, it's not me. I'm not the reason why my string broke. Like, do you know how I'm not Paganini? My E is not, my finger is not so strong that I can just pluck it and it breaks. And it's a steel string. I'm not going to break it so easily. But the thing is, when I walked on stage and I had the violin back there, and I went there to finish my performance, I was so nervous. Like, I was just thinking, my string's gonna break, my string's gonna break, my string's gonna break. And like that was all I was thinking. But it's important to know that these things can happen, and if it happens, it's okay. Don't beat yourself out over it. Like, you can do your best, and sometimes these things just happen. So,
Yeah, no problem.
Enjoy.
Yes, thank you for sharing about so many experience you had. So just a reminder for all the audience. So you can type, if you have any questions, please type in the Q&A section in Zoom or in the chat box in YouTube. And because we have our time is almost up, so for Siong Quen, so as may you have heard, the Jesselton Philharmonic Orchestra has involved itself in a variety of activities. So on behalf of the JPO, we would like to ask your views on the JPO and its activities. Additionally, how would you suggest the JPO and its members to further improve itself?
Okay, I've from what I've heard, I think it's an amazing opportunity, and I think it's like it's an amazing initiative. Like, everyone should take advantage of it. Like, I've been very, very lucky. I've been really very lucky to have gone to the UK so young, and because of that, like I did all kinds of orchestra, like orchestra. I was involved in orchestra and chamber, all these kind of things from a very young age. I think unfortunately at that time it wasn't quite so big in Malaysia. It became bigger as I was in the UK, but it for us to have this now, it's such an amazing opportunity, and we really need to take advantage of it, because music is not about playing on your is often not about playing on your own. Like, that's you make music for others to hear you, and you need to share this. You need to share it with other people as well. So I think it's like, you should really take advantage of it. Like, it's shaped me so much. I love chamber music. It's probably one of my favorite forms of performing, and it's about playing with your friends in a chamber setting where you're in a small room in a small hall, and it's beautiful because, like, there's just so many things you can share. There's so many emotions. And also in terms of cultivating a musically rich community, it's really important, because you can't develop music so well when it's just you on your own. Like, you need to share your ideas, you need to bounce your ideas off each other, and that can only happen like when you I'm repeating myself, but when you share ideas, like in master classes, in orchestras, in chamber settings, in playing with your friends, playing with other professionals, like getting advice from other people, it really shapes you. So I think it's amazing. Everyone should really take advantage of it. But in terms of improving, I don't think and honestly, I think there's nothing much you can do like that's better than what you've already done, because you've done so much already. But the only thing is that unfortunately we are in a pandemic, and that's just a really unfortunate thing. But otherwise, I think it's you should take advantage of it if you can.
All right. Yeah, So thank you very much. And we are now going into the Q&A section. So we have some questions here to be asked. And yeah, the first one from Nasran. I think you know him. Yeah, quite.
Hi, Jitna. uh, yeah. So, do you want to read the question or?
Yes. So the question
Okay.
here is, what is the current situation with freelancers in KL or Malaysia coping with COVID-19, the pandemic?
From what I've heard, honestly, it's been very difficult. It's everyone's really been suffering, and I think it's important everyone please take care of each other. Like be kind to each other, and check in with each other. Like this is really important. Like because I know we've been talking about performance anxiety, like so anxiety really related to performance, but in terms of but things like mental and mental and physical health is so you need if they are not in tip top shape, that can really snowball everything. Like this, it's really normal, by the way, when you come back to performing after such a long time in hiatus, that your performance anxiety is increased as well, especially because you're not in tip top shape, because mental and physical health is up and down, up and down, and be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself because it's going to be difficult. And if you need professional help, there are avenues that you can seek. Like I think is it the befrienders? Yeah.
I think so. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. The lines in Malaysia.
But I think I know everyone's like really frustrated now. It's like because we are all performers. Like we want to perform. We want to
Yeah,
play.
go on stage, feel that adrenaline rush.
Yeah, like we live for this, and like we can't. But it's keep hanging there, because like we're all looking forward. But stay safe. Always stay safe. That's the priority. Stay safe, because physical
Yes.
health, mental health. Take care of yourself.
Yes. Oh, like yeah, for everyone. Not even like for musicians and non-musicians, everyone. Yeah, do stay safe. And okay, next we have let me see. So, hi Siong Quen, in your opinion, do you think there is any difference in between exam anxiety and performance anxiety?
Sorry,
Is there
can you exam
is
anxiety again?
an exam anxiety and performance anxiety? Is there any difference between these two?
Honestly, when you do exams, they should be a performance. They shouldn't be like an exam is kind of a test to see how you are at a certain stage, but you shouldn't be progressing towards an exam. So your progress is like this, like and then the exam is like, oh, where are you at this kind of point? Where are you? But it's not like the exam is here. I could have like you don't meet like it's there, so you should perform your best. It's really I think it's closer to a performance kind of setting than a competitive setting.
Nice.
Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, approach it as a performance so you can enjoy it. I know people are like, oh my god, scales. Like, how am I going to enjoy scales? That's impossible. But it's actually, I've had students really do well in scales because they enjoy it. But unfortunately, for some reason, they didn't find the same thing with the actual pieces. But to each their own. But it's possible to enjoy a scale. It's like it's really helpful. For example, it's stable. It's always there. It's really helpful. But I think I've repeated myself twice. But yeah, exam. You should approach exam like it's a performance. Go in there with the same kind of like chest up. Stick your chin up. Be confident. Have that persona when you go on. Remember, like tell yourself like, okay, look, you've done all you can do, or what I've said before, like if you haven't done all you can do, it's too bad. But now you're going to do what you can do right now, and you're going to do the best of what you can do, and go in there and enjoy.
Thank you. So hopefully it answered the question. And yeah, from Nasran again. So what do you think about musicians with vaccination doesn't want to sit in with musicians without vaccinations or anti-vaccines?
Ooh,
Yeah,
ooh, this is
any
a
point?
I honestly like I'm fully vaccinated. so, so I always encourage people to get vaccinated, but I mean I understand that some people are nervous on like the topic of vaccination. So I mean uh Encik Nash, you asked a difficult question. Like I think it should be it's hard for me to say compulsory because at the same time, like we are in a democratic state. Like it's at the end of the day, as difficult as it is for me to say, it's a free choice. We like you can't force someone to do something that they're that they don't want to fundamentally because it's like as but for those who are vaccinated who may be worried about this, um there are things you can you don't have to like be like, oh my god, I don't want to touch you, like it's just be as safe as you can be, but be polite as well, like wash your hands, like wear your mask, be careful of course, but yes, be careful, but yeah, be as safe as you can, and I hope that it's I mean, we all know the numbers, and we all know that the state our country is in. so, so like stay as safe as you can, guys, and yeah.
No problem. Thank you. So, the last question before we end tonight's program. So, do you have anything to share with us, like regarding for musicians or non-musicians in the country, like have likely found in the past couples of year, like because the COVID pandemic, like in this difficult time. So, do you have any words of advice regarding handling the performance anxiety? Yeah, in in this current situation. Any
Um,
suggestions for musician or non-musicians? Uh, mm,
I think, well, if it's performance anxiety particularly, I think it's probably more related to performers. But I think it's like I mentioned earlier, it's like mostly about being kind to yourself, like being kind to others, and just having some hope. This is the most difficult thing in this kind of era that we're in right now. It's like we felt so difficult. Like it's just like it feels like everything every time we get over a hurdle and it's like, oh my god, another lockdown, and it's like but it's at some point I do believe that things will get better because we are, as human beings, like we are the kind of people that we adapt pretty well out of all the animals. So I think it's hang in there, check in with other people, really do check in with other people often, as often as you can, because you really don't know what anyone else is going through, especially like if you're not communicating often, like during this time. Check in with other people, like even if it's just like a normal hi, if it's anything, just say hi and just yeah, be kind.
mm, yes, but yeah, be kind to everyone and yeah, just stay safe. If it's not any necessary stuff, I would say maybe just stay at home, don't go out if you don't have like work or anything. Yeah. Right. Thank you very much for all your responses to all the questions. But I'm very sorry, everyone. We are coming to the end of tonight's broadcast. So we would like to remind everyone that our JPO family program will be broadcasted twice a week until further notice. Join us next time with our next guest, as will be posted near the time. More details can be found on our Facebook page. A video recording of tonight's broadcast will also be available on the YouTube channel, along with past webinars and the soon to be broadcasted interviews. So feel free to share the Zoom webinar registration link JPO YouTube channel and the JPO Facebook page with friends and family. For our YouTube audience, if you are enjoying our program, please show your support by pressing the like and subscribe button down below. You guys have been an amazing audience. We from the JPO wishes that everyone stays safe and healthy as facing this crisis together. So now I will lead the prayer to end tonight's program. Please pray in whatever faith you believe in regarding the COVID-19 pandemic. Dear Heavenly Father, we pray that everyone stays safe and strong during this hard time and this difficult time. Give us strength to overcome everything we've had to go through. We have to go through, and we pray for the frontliners and those who must travel to work every day. As God, you provide protection and healthy bodies to fight this pandemic together. I thank you, Lord, for everything you provide. In Jesus' name, Amen. So thank you everyone for tuning in tonight, and thank you Siong Quen for such a wonderful topic with us, to share such a wonderful topic, and I really enjoyed everything, and we will see everyone next time. Good night.
Bye. Thanks for having me again.
No problem. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.